Mr. Cohen, I'm glad that after 10 years later we are making progress in our exit program. When do you plan to have that fully implemented?
We anticipate that the capabilities that I described earlier will be implemented within 6 to 12 months.
And will that include also biometric?
It will include enhanced biographic with certain biometric elements included. As I referenced earlier, more expanded use of information captured on the front end, fingerprints, et cetera. And it will also include within that same time period more advancements in research on biometric technologies we can use here as part of the exit program.
And I agree with Madam Chair. That's certainly good news. It's where the Congress and our oversight working with you actually is a positive experience. Let me move on to visa overstays. The Secretary announced that criminal aliens, a high priority for deportation. As a former federal prosecutor, I certainly understand that with limited resources. On the other hand, she seemed to infer that non-criminal aliens that were having visa overstays could stay in this country and apply for work permits. First of all, Mr. Edge, can you respond to that? Is that the administration's position?
Well, our position as a law enforcement agency is to take the information that we acquire from the CBIS program and U.S. Visit and focus on those overstays that pose the most threat and potentially are the most dangerous to our country.
And I get that, and I agree with that, but I was disturbed by the inference that the non-criminal aliens overstaying could stay here and apply for work permits. Was that an accurate statement on the part of this administration?
I'm not familiar with that statement, sir. I'd have to defer to the department.
Okay, I mean, perhaps I need to ask the Secretary, herself that question. Mr. Stan, if that is a policy of this administration, do you think that would pose a threat in any way to our security?
Well, given with the theme of the hearing, the integrity of the visa process, you'd certainly call it to question. Listening to the new program that ICE and DHS is putting together, I think it's a step I'd welcome the opportunity to take a look at it. It raises a whole host of questions. But if we're still going to focus on the national security and public safety folks, which is the thing to start with, it still leaves the vast majority of people untouched. And it gives the impression that once you're in the country, you're in unless you act out, and then you might get caught.
Because as I look at some of these, whether it's hijackers or high-profile terrorist violators, many of them were non-criminal aliens here on a visa overstay.
Well, and the fact that the Christmas Day bomber went through the visa processes, many of which were in place in December 2009, apparently got in on the airplane and got a visa, it just calls to question how much question has to be raised before you deny boarding.
So, Mr. Edge, I hope you can get back to me on that question in terms of what is the administration's position, or perhaps Mr. Cohen, you may have an answer to that.
Congressman, if I may. So first and foremost, because of resource issues primarily, the administration prioritizes the targeting of those visa overstays that represent a national security or public safety risk. Through the capabilities that I've described earlier, as we are better able to identify people who are actually confirmed overstays, meaning we have assessed that they are actually located in this country and they have not changed their immigration status, we then, as we do now, will have the ability to provide that information so that it can be inputted by CBP and others into their systems, and State Department into their systems. So if there is a second encounter, meaning they are arrested, meaning that they seek to apply for another visa, they seek to apply for other types of information, the information that they are on overstay will be available to those CBP officers or others.
Well, again, the majority of the hijackers were overstay non-criminal aliens. The blind sheikh responsible for the '93 World Trade Center bombing was a visa overstay without a criminal record. So I think it is important, and I'm concerned, and that's why I look forward to hearing from the administration. I'm concerned about sending a message out there that if you're a non-criminal alien, it's okay to stay. And in fact, you can apply for a work permit as well.
If I may, Congressman, one last point. You make an excellent point about whether information about the hijackers were in databases like NCIC because they've been arrested. What there was on many of the hijackers, or on several hijackers, was derogatory information or other law enforcement information that under this new construct would come to the attention of authorities. Information in FinCEN, information that may reside in other repositories of the intelligence community other than, say, the TSDB. So what we're seeking to do is expand our ability to vet visa information or information regarding potential overstays against a much broader set of law enforcement or intelligence information than we have done so in the past.
Yeah, I look forward to working with you on that, and thank you for your testimony.